What's up guys, I'm Pheonixmaster1 and today I'm bringing you a new series on my channel, which is Competitive Pokemon 101. As a lot of you may or may not know, I have been playing competitive Pokemon since many years and I have reached top 10 on different ladders on Pokemon Shoutout, and I've made a lot of friends which are also very good players, and some of them are actually tournament level players. And at this point I'm pretty confident in my abilities, so that's why I have been thinking of making a series like this for helping out upcoming competitive Pokemon players. I really hope you guys do enjoy this. So for the first episode, I'll be going over team building. A good team can carry a good player a long way, and in competitive Pokemon, a team is not just 6 random Pokemon. Instead, it's 6 Pokemon that have good synergy, who can support each other and can check various threats in the metagame. So that's the basic idea behind a team. So first of all, you'll need to pick a format. This series will be mostly based on Smogon singles, but a lot of things in this series can be applied to any format like VGC. After you have picked your format, you will need to know the threats of that metagame. For example, in OU, Mega Charizard X, Mega Metagross, Landorus T, Manaphy are pretty big threats which you need to prepare for, and in VGC there are Pokemon such as Mega Salamence, Talonflame and Mega Kangaskhan which are huge threats. You can know the current threats of a metagame by looking at the usage stats and the viability rankings. Smogon forums for singles and Nugget Bridge for VGC are great resources for learning, and Pokemon Showdown is also a really great site to practice and for team building, and I'm gonna be using it for this video to team build. So for team building, you will need to select a playstyle. There are various playstyles like Hyper Offense, Bulky Offense, Balance, Weather Offense, Trick Room, Semi-Stall and Stall. Hyper Offense is my favorite playstyle. It requires a lot of aggressive plays, predictions, double switches, and has powerful offensive Pokemons, and is a really risky playstyle. There is Stall where you have a lot of defensive Pokemon. It is a lot safer and it doesn't require you to make aggressive plays. And finally we have Balance where you have offensive Pokemon and also defensive backbone and pivots as well. It is definitely the best playstyle if you're just starting competitive Pokemon, and in Aura's metagame it's a really good playstyle. So if you're starting with the competitive Pokemon, I would suggest you to use Balance. So now let's get on to team building. I will try to give you guys the basic idea and the thought process behind team building, and first of all you'll need to select a Pokemon or a core around which you want to build. Usually it's a Mega Pokemon, but it can be any Pokemon like Volcarona, Hawlucha or Feraligatr, so it's up to you around which Pokemon you want to team build. So for this video I'll be making a balanced team around Mega Scizor. So here we are on Pokemon Showdown, and like I said, I'm going to be making a balanced team around Mega Scizor. So here we have Mega Scizor, and for its moveset I've gone for Swords Dance, Roost, Bullet Punch and U-Turn. Now U-Turn with Swords Dance might seem like an odd matchup, but U-Turn allows Mega Scizor to be a really good pivot, and it also allows us to gain offensive momentum in our favor. For example, you're in versus a Tyranitar and your opponent has a Rotom Wash. Now he's obviously gonna switch out and go into his Rotom Wash, and as you go for the U-Turn, you will be getting the offensive momentum in your favor, and you can bring in something which can deal with Rotom Wash. So this way you have the momentum in your favor. Bullet Punch is a nice stab with Technician, and it's a pretty good priority move. And we have Swords Dance, which allows Mega Scizor to be a really nice late game cleaner, and Roost is for longevity, and we have Light Metal as its ability before it Mega Evolves, so that it takes minimum damage from attacks like Low Kick from Weavile. And for its EVs, we have 248 EVs in HP and we have 200 EVs in special defense. Now these 200 EVs in special defense allows Mega Scizor to not get too KO'd by Mega Gardevoir's Focus Blast and Mega Diance's HP Fire, and also allows him to take Fire Blast from Clefable and all around take hits from special attackers like Mega Alakazam. And we have 16 defense EVs with Impish Nature, which allows Mega Scizor to take EQs from offensive Landorus T and not get too KO'd by the EQ. And the rest is in attack. I guess you can invest more in defense if you want, but it's up to you. I like to have 44 EVs in attack, and you should always know what the EV spread of your Pokemon does, and that's the moveset of our Mega Scizor. And we have paired this up with a Latios. Now you can definitely use Latias over Latios, but here we have a Life Orb Latios. Now Latios is a great Pokemon because it checks stuff like Mega Charizard Y, Thundurus, Mega Manectric and Keldeo. We have a Life Orb Latios with Draco Meteor, Psyshock, EQ and Defog. Defog allows us to get rid of the entry hazards, entry hazards are definitely annoying when you have Pokemon such as Mega Scizor you turning around. So that's why you have Defog, and Latios and Latias are one of the most reliable defoggers, so that's why defog on them is pretty good. And we have EQ, which allows us to hit stuff like Bisharp and Tyranitar, which like to switch in on Latios, and EQ specifically hits Heatran on the switch, and it echoes Heatran with the Stealth Rocks damage. And Heatran is a really annoying Pokemon to face because we have Mega Scizor and completely walls our Mega Scizor, so EQ on Latios allows us to support Mega Scizor, and we have 252 EVs in special attack and 252 EVs in speed with 4 attack EVs with hasty nature. Now these two Pokemon are really weak to Mega Sableye, and Mega Sableye is one of the biggest threats in the meta game, and these two Pokemon are also weak to stuff like Tornadus T, Lopunny, and Dragon types, which can use fire type moves which can destroy our Mega Scizor. So that's why we're gonna be adding a leftovers Clefable with Magic Guard, Moonblast, and Flamethrower. You can use T-Wave over Flamethrower, but I like to use Flamethrower because it hits steel types like Ferrothorn and Mega Scizor, and other steel types like Bisharp, Mega Metagross, which like to switch in on Clefable. Like I said, you can of course use T-Wave over Flamethrower, which most people use these days to cripple stuff like Talonflame, Heatran, and basically spread paralysis on opponent's team. And Softball is really obvious here, and Calm Mind makes Clefable a very strong win condition. So for its EVs, I've gone for 248 HP EVs, 160 defense EVs, 96 special defense EVs, 4 speed EVs with Calm Nature, and 96 but Def EVs with Calm Nature allows us to take hits from Mega Manectric, Thundurus, Kyurem Black, Tornadus T, and 160 defense EVs allows us to not get twig KO'd by Latios and Latias' Psyshock, and it can take hits from Mega Lopunny, and 4 speed EVs is just to outspeed other opposing Clefables, and Clefable of course checks Mega Sableye and Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash is really annoying to Scizor and Latios, while Latios can switch into Rotom Wash, but it does not appreciate burns because it is carrying EQ, so Clefable nicely checks Rotom Wash. And right now our team is really weak to Mega Charizard X. The moment Mega Charizard X sets up a Dragon Dance, we just lose, so that's why I'm gonna be adding a Landorus T, and we also need Stealth Rocks because Stealth Rocks play a major role in singles and can turn 2-hit KOs into 1-hit KOs, and they can pressure Pokemon like Volcarona, Dragonite, Mega Charizard Y, and stuff like that. So that's why we're gonna be adding a Landorus T with Rocky Helmet, EQ, Stone Edge, U-Turn, and Stealth Rocks. Now EQ is for stab, and Stone Edge hits stuff like Talonflame, Tornadus T, and U-Turn gives us the offensive momentum, and because of this move, Landorus T is one of the best pivots in the game. And like I said, Stealth Rocks are very necessary. Rocky Helmet is nice for getting some residual damage on Pokemon, and because of its typing and its ability, it can check a lot of Pokemon in the tier, and it's definitely nice to have as a ground immunity when you have stuff like Garchomp, Escadrille, and Landorus T running around. So for its CVs, I'm gonna give it 248 HP EVs and 88 speed EVs. The reason why I'm giving it 88 speed EVs is because we wanna outspeed Adamant Bisharp, Adamant Breloom, and Adamant Metagross before it Mega Evolves. And here is the speed tier. You can look here which Pokemon you wanna outspeed, and it's pretty good. And the rest of the EVs are gonna go into defense with Impish Nature. So here we have our Landorus T. It checks a lot of stuff like Talonflame, Tyranitar, Mega Heracross, and bunch of other stuff. So if you do not want to outspeed Adamant Bisharp, then I guess you can put all of these speed EVs into defense if you want, but it's up to you. I like to outspeed Adamant Bisharp, and right now our team is really weak to Manaphy and Starmie. Both of these water types just wreck our team, so that's why I'm gonna be adding a Kyurem Black to this team because it is one of my favorite Pokemon, and it checks Manaphy and Starmie, and it wrecks other balanced teams, and offensive teams don't have any switches to this monster. And because we have Scizor and Landorus T, it really pairs up well with them because they have U-Turn, and they usually bring in stuff like Rotom Wash, Skarmory, Gliscor, other Landorus T, and Mega Venusaur. And Kyurem Black completely destroys those Pokemon. With Terra Volt, it can surpass Rotom Wash's Levitate and Mega Venusaur's Thick Fat, and it can completely destroy those Pokemon. So that's why I've gone with Life Orb, and Ice Beam is a nice stab Fusion Bolt hits water types like Azumarill and Keldeo, which like to switch in on Kyurem Black. Earth Power destroys Heatran and Rotom Wash. Roost is for longevity, and Substitute can be used over Roost if you want to, but I like to use Roost because we do have Life Orb. And for its EVs, I'm gonna be giving it 252 special attack and 236 speed. Now, this speed EVs allows us to outspeed base AT Pokemon which are not positive speed nature, and the rest is gonna go into attack. And we're gonna go with mild nature, which is plus special attack nature, and Kyurem Black, like I said, pairs up well with Mega Scizor and Landorus T because it completely destroys those Pokemon which trouble Mega Scizor and Landorus T, and we of course have U-Turn on those two Pokemon. And when we get the switch initiative with U-Turn, we can bring in Kyurem Black safely, and it is weak to Stealth Rocks, but we do have Latios with Defog to take care of Stealth Rocks. Now right now our team is really weak to Serperior and Quiver Dance, Volcarona. Volcarona completely sweeps us, and so does HP Fire Serperior, so that's why I'm gonna be adding Assault with Entei. It is a pretty cool mon. I guess I can use Talonflame over this, but like I said, Entei is a really cool mon, and it can switch into Ferrothorn, Heatran, and for its moveset I have Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire is the stab and can spread burns on Pokemon like Landorus T and Azumarill, which like to switch in on it. And Extreme Speed is nice priority, can be used to pick up weakened Pokemon. And we have Bulldoze to hit Heatran, Stone Edge is there to hit Talonflame, and we have gone with the Adamant Nature. So this is the final team which I've made. This is a Mega Scizor balanced team, as you can see. I guess Stealth Rocks Heatran can be used over Entei, and Rocky Helmet Landorus T can be made Choice Scarf Landorus T, but it's up to you. I like the look of the team. It has pretty good type synergy, and the Pokemon do support each other. This team is going to be in the description down below, so feel free to use it, and some of my other teams are also going to be in the description down below. So these are the teams which I'm going to be leaving in the description down below for you guys to use. And once you're done with your team, you want to make sure that your team has checks to the top tier threats of the tier or the meta game. So here we have our team, and here we have the viability rankings. Now you want to make sure that your team has checks or some kind of way of dealing with the S rank and A rank Pokemon, because these Pokemon are used most in the tier and the meta game, so your team must be prepared to take them on. For example, this Mega Charizard X is checked by Landorus T on our team, Clefable is checked by Mega Scizor and Entei, Manaphy is checked by Kyurem Black and Latios, Mega Sableye is checked by Entei and Clefable, Mega Alakazam is checked by Mega Scizor, Mega Altaria is checked by Mega Scizor, Landorus T and Clefable. Depends on the moveset it's running. Azumarill, Bishop, Mega Diancie are all checked by Mega Scizor, and stuff like Talonflame is checked by Landorus T, Tornadus T is checked by Clefable, Weavile is checked by Mega Scizor, and other Pokemon like Serperior are checked by Entei. Mega Manectric is also checked by Kyurem Black and Latios, and Volcarona is checked by Entei, and Starmie is checked by Kyurem Black, and so is Rotom Wash and Raikou as well. And if you do not know which Pokemon is checked by which Pokemon, then there is also a list of checks to different Pokemon, which I'm going to be leaving in the description down below, along with the viability rankings, the speed tiers, and all of these resources which you guys can use to your advantage. And I hope you guys get the idea, because if I go any longer and tell which Pokemon is checked by which Pokemon on my team, then it will take a lot of time. But I've tried to make sure that I can check as many Pokemon as I can with the combination of 6 Pokemon I have, and of course check the top tier threats of the OU metagame. Now, it's impossible to check each and every Pokemon with just combination of 6 Pokemon that you have, because there's always gonna be some Pokemon which your team is weak to, and they're gonna give you a tough time. But what you can do is play around them, predict, play carefully, and maybe come on top. So basically, it's impossible to make a perfect team which can check any combination of 6 Pokemon, but it's definitely possible to make a team which has checks to the top tier threats of a metagame and can check the most common Pokemon being used in the metagame. And hopefully guys get the idea behind team building and the thought process with the example which I have given. So let's do a quick recap on team building. First of all, you want to pick a format. and then you want to use the resources like viability rankings, usage stats to gain information about the metagame. Then you want to select a playstyle and choose a Pokemon or a core around which you want to team build and maintain the type synergy of your team. And if you're using a hyper offensive team, then you want to maintain the offensive synergy of your team. Make sure your Pokemon has specific goals assigned like a sweeper, stealth rock user, a pivot, stuff like that, and make sure your Pokemon support each other either offensively or defensively. Give them the EV spreads which are optimal, and check the speed tiers when you want to outspeed a certain Pokemon with the Pokemon on your team, and give them the moveset which fits the playstyle of your team. For example, I was building a balanced team, so that's why I gave my Mega Scizor a more bulkier moveset, and I would have given it offensive 3 attacks with Swords Dance if I was building a hyper offensive team. Give them the appropriate items like Life Orb, Leftovers depending on their moveset, and make sure they check the top tier threats and the most used Pokemon in the metagame. And finally, make sure to test your team on Pokemon Showdown, because sometimes a team might look good on paper but it does poorly in actual battles. So testing your teams is very necessary since it lets you know the weaknesses of your teams, and testing different teams is also quite fun. So make sure you have fun, because this game is all about having fun. So this was the first episode of Competitive Pokemon 101. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please make sure to leave a like. It is much appreciated, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below and I will try my best to answer them. So stay tuned for the episode 2 of Competitive Pokemon 101, and with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching and have a good day.